Welcome to the CFO and Finance Leaders series brought to you by Fortinas Events. I am Farida Maria Abbas. Today we are talking about e-invoicing in the UAE, a massive shift that's changing how finance teams operate. Our guest today is Aditya Mittal, Vice President and Business Head at ClearTax, leading their GCC e-invoicing business. Aditya is an IIM Calcutta alumnus with decades of experience across SaaS, retail, and mortgage industries. He has helped enterprises across the Middle East navigate complex e-invoicing mandates with scalable compliance solutions. Aditya, thanks for joining.
Freda, thanks a lot for inviting me. I think the topic is very very pertinent, and I think you used a word massive. I think that's exactly what it is. It is something that we feel is going to change the landscape of tax compliances in GCC and across the globe. So, thank you very much for having me here, and really looking forward to our conversation.
Welcome, Aditya. And we too are looking forward to hearing your insights. Definitely, this is one of the hottest topics in the UAE right now. And with the CFO conference coming, we know the interest in the topic as well in the region. So, yeah. Moving on to our first question, right? E-invoicing is becoming a major shift for businesses in the UAE. What CFOs and finance teams do now to prepare, and what are the most common pitfalls you are seeing when companies wait too long? How is ClearTax geared to handle this?
Further, I think a perfect question to start our conversation, right? Because when people when people talk about invoicing and how to prepare for invoicing, what is extremely important to understand is that you don't have to prepare for e-invoicing implementation. Really, you actually have to start planning for uh, automation of tax compliances over a 4, 5, 10 year a long period, for which e-invoicing is just the start, right? So it becomes very very imperative that CFOs look at it as the foundation stone of future tax compliances, and not just as a immediate statutory requirement. E-invoicing cannot be looked upon as just a tax project or just an IT project. In fact, this is one of the biggest mistakes that we have seen people do, that they think of e-invoicing as just a tax project and or an IT project. It has to be looked upon much more holistically as an automation project with built-in compliances. From the standpoint of preparation, there are three primary levers along which, or there are three primary axes along which CFOs can start their preparation. And these are data, systems, and governance. Uh, Data is where the problem actually lies. Most go live failures stem not from the mandate itself, but from the poor quality data. So, data cleansing, standardizing invoice, customer, product masters, etc., can just be a good starting point. Second is systems. Map all your source systems, right? ERPs, your POS, your legacy systems, and start thinking about the design in terms of how each of these source systems will integrate into the FTA's digital framework. The time consuming part is not the integration itself, but the design and alignment of these fragmented systems to the automated system which is going to come up, right? So that becomes the second important piece. And third important piece is that we need to start building governance, establishing an internal compliance playbook, owners and SLAs around those playbooks. The best run teams, Farida, as per our understanding and experience, they treat invoicing as a business change and not an IT project, right? So this is what at least we have seen from our experience. Now, the second part of your question was some of the biggest mistakes when companies wait. What happens? Uh, Again, the starting point of it also becomes that some of these companies would be thinking of invoicing as a mandate or as a statutory requirement, right? And therefore post go live, a lot of companies would realize that their internal records do not match the authorities records, right? It exposes them to audit risk, right? Therefore, Therefore, underestimating the burden of reconciliation, the burden or the requirement of data sanity, etc., becomes important. Fragmented vendor choices also end up becoming a very big pain for companies when they take decisions at very last minute and without looking at e-invoicing holistically. And there always needs to be a plan B. So there needs to be some contingency planning. Mandates always go live whether you are ready or not, right? So you need to have a very clear understanding that, okay, what is my plan B in case something doesn't work. So these are some of the bigger mistakes when companies wait too long, or when companies think that we have a lot of time to take our decisions. So if
Mhm.
you have time to take those decisions, then use that time to very judiciously to evaluate who can be the right partner for you for e-invoicing purposes.
So, also addressing the last part of the question, how is ClearTax geared to handle this?
So, for the ClearTax obviously comes from very long experience of managing and scaling invoicing in
Okay.
different parts of the globe. As of now, we support e-invoicing in 50 plus countries across the globe, right? Uh, and
Mhm.
the way we have defined and built our systems, we have defined and built them for robustness and scale to handle uh, the kind of volumes we expect our large enterprise customers to have. And we have also built these systems in a very configurable way so that the basic architecture is capable of handling any future tax compliances, which will obviously come with e-invoicing as the base layer of those tax compliances, right? So that is why we ourselves think of e-invoicing as only the starting point, and our idea is that how are we able to look slightly or little bit into the future and understand that, okay, what is going to come 3 years later or maybe 4 years later, right? How can tax authorities use invoicing data to make their tax compliances more forward looking in nature, more automated, more proactive, and therefore work with our customers and partners to build product and technology which can help them in serving the forward looking needs as well, and not just the immediate invoicing requirement.
Okay. So, since e-invoicing is now a global phenomenon, what motivates regulators around the world to mandate these compliances, in your opinion?
I think it's fairly straightforward. And again, there are three primary forces which push governments across the globe for real time invoicing. First piece is the VAT gap and revenue protection. Uh, there are multiple examples across the globe where countries that have adopted e-invoicing have seen billions in recovered tax revenue because e-invoicing uh, leads to real-time reporting, which of course eliminates, say, cases like under-invoicing or fake invoicing or delayed filings. We have seen examples of this in countries like India, Brazil, Saudi, Malaysia, and of course, in most of the countries where e-invoicing has been implemented. Second key reason, Farida, usually is economic transparency and anti-fraud. Uh, Regulators now expect a live digital view of transactions. They want systemic fraud detection, and that has to be powered by very structured data, right? They are not looking at it from a manual standpoint. They want it very system oriented and through very structured data. And the last reason is digital transformation of governments itself. Tax administrations are also modernizing, right? Not just us. They are also modernizing. And e-invoicing becomes the foundation layer for e-reporting, e-audits, near real-time collections, and streamlined refunds. So, in short, if you look at it, e-invoicing is not a compliance project, so to say. It's actually a digital policy to reshape the entire tax ecosystem.
So, from your vantage point, what's changing fastest for CFOs and transformation leaders across MEA when it comes to tax and compliance?
Yeah. So just like most countries and most parts of the globe, MIA as a region is moving towards real time, always on compliance. Right. So the compliance has to be, just needs to be run in an autopilot mode. It doesn't need to happen, at discrete intervals. So every country is accelerating its mandate towards structured digital reporting and the phased e-invoicing and continuous transaction controls. We are also seeing that even cross-border supplies are also going to get digitized as we move forward. Uh, taxes Basically, taxes becoming like data discipline. CFOs these days get judged on the accuracy and on the auditability of their data. Right. So with digital records, authorities can also audit in hours and not months. So MIA is also shifting from periodic reporting to perpetual compliance, and CFOs also have to change their outlook and operating model according to those requirements.
Looking ahead, where do you see AI making the biggest difference in tax and compliance? Now, AI is everywhere, so it definitely has to be in the tax as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to know your viewpoint on that.
Yeah, yeah, very, very broad question, and I would have loved for Archit, who's a founder, and maybe our CTO also to answer this. But I will try to take a tab at it. I will try to, I will try to share my view because it is literally everywhere. But to give you some examples of where AI, something like AI can actually come immediately handy in our space is say if you think of ROI in aspects like reconciliation or anomaly detection or in data preparation. For example, matching transactions automatically and catching issues uh, before these invoices or issues actually reach the tax authority. Right. So those are the things where AI can start providing absolutely immediate ROI in the taxation and compliance space. So, if I had to term it out in one sentence, I would say the biggest win would be that AI turns tax from reactive as it exists today, which is you fix your gaps after you have filed, to proactive, which means you prevent before submission of those issues itself. Right. So that's the shift that we are going to see with AI coming in.
I believe that certain solutions also exist in market, right? Already, like AI is already in use for a lot of reasons that you mentioned. That the AI is useful for in tax, like basically a lot of data things to do with matching the data, reconciliation. That is one big part. I think AI is already uh, being greatly used in that space. Okay, so AI in compliance also raises questions about trust. How should enterprises think about AI governance so that CFOs and regulators are comfortable?
Yeah. So see that the definition of good governance basically remains same. It's just that we have to understand how is it going to be led through AI. So good governance through AI would actually mean say things like explainable models, very clear ownership, strong data controls, and oversight. Enterprises must choose vendors that share training data frameworks or risk controls and audit trails. In a sense, AI governance is going to be about accountability. If a regulator asks, why did this happen? You should have a very clean, auditable answer ready with you in a matter of minutes. Right. So that's what AI governance should ideally look like.
So, moving towards our last question for today's podcast. ClearTax has announced a USD 50 million investment in the UAE. What's driving this commitment and which priorities will it accelerate first?
First of all, we are very, very excited about it. We are actually excited about everything that we are doing in UAE as well as the broader GCC region. The expansion comes as the country prepares to roll out e-invoicing regulations. And following our successful invoicing implementations in Saudi and other geographies, ClearTax is rapidly scaling its presence across UAE and wider Gulf markets with an objective to provide immense value to its customers in the region. You have close to 1 million VAT registered businesses in UAE and many, many more across GCC. And what ClearTax is doing is ClearTax is addressing this urgent need of e-invoicing with scalable, secure, and regulation-ready tax technology platform with a promise to keep its customer future safe from any tax regulations in the region as they evolve, right? So the idea is that we start with the invoicing, but we work very, very closely with our customers to make sure that we keep them future proof as well as the tax compliances in the region evolve.
So, Aditya, this has been incredibly insightful. The entire podcast, your views on all the complex topics about e-invoicing, finance, and everything going on right now in GCC and MEM. So, thanks for breaking down e-invoicing and the future of tax compliance in such a practical way. For our listeners, ClearTax is a gold sponsor of the CFOs and Finance Leaders Summit UAE 2026. This is taking place on January 27th at the Ritz-Carlton, Jumeirah Beach, Dubai. If you want to learn more about how ClearTax can help your organization navigate e-invoicing and tax compliance, you can check them out online. Their website is there and it would have all the details. We will also have them speaking at the event, so you can be there and get more insights as well. Aditya, thank you so much.